Hello, hello. My name is Claire Ackers. I'm coming to you live from Sunnybank Mills in Farsley, North Leeds. It is coming up for 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. And today we are talking about whether you have ever felt the pressure to be Superwoman in your business. And I'm really hoping you can hear me because I just tried to adjust where my camera was pointing and my whole computer crashed. So if you're watching me live today more than ever, please say hello in the comments. And if you're catching up a little bit later, then please say hello with #replay. And don't forget to let me know what you think of this conversation because I'm pretty excited. It's an important one, this one, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you with it. So today is all about if you've ever felt like you've got to be Superwoman, and just listen to this and see if it resonates with you. Does this sound familiar? So if you've got the Superwoman complex, you are working your butt off in your business. You are making 100 decisions a day, from what kind of tea you buy, what kind of loo roll you buy, right through to pressing the green light on a marketing campaign. And you haven't really got the time that you would ideally like to think through those decisions properly. You're just reacting to them. You've probably reached a level in your business where you've got some help. It isn't just you. You've got some help to do this stuff. However, you're still down in the weeds, with the responsibility solely resting on your shoulders when it comes down to you. And you're context switching all the time. You're making a decision here, then going over there, and it's taking you that time to get your focus back when you're suddenly asked to make another decision or pulled away from what you're supposed to be doing. It takes 20 minutes. There's research to show that it takes 20 minutes to get back on to what you're supposed to be doing when you're being pulled in a different direction. And most of the time, you're pretty good at multitasking. You pride yourself on that multitasking. But if you're really honest, you're probably working at about 60% capacity. Of how good you could be in each of those things if you were really, really concentrating and going deep on what you're supposed to be doing. And you're at your comfort zone as well. You are good at pushing yourself. You're amazing at putting yourself out there, and into the stretch zone, probably not panic zone, but in stretch zone. But you are definitely out of your comfort zone all the time. And that makes you feel a little bit anxious. And yet, all of this, and yet you are bossing it most of the time. You smash the pitch. You save the day when something goes wrong. You have brilliant ideas and you get on and you execute them. You're showing up. You're being visible. You're putting your hand up and volunteering for the speaking engagement. You deliver the talk. You make the hard decisions and you have the hard conversations, like sacking people, like getting rid of suppliers. You can do all that. You're bossing it. And yet, why doesn't it feel good? Why can't you ever feel relaxed and at peace and successful? And as well as doing all that at work, you're probably doing all the heavy lifting with the kids as well. You're remembering parties, you're remembering school trips, you remember to pay the money there, you're remembering to reply to the party invitations and buy the presents. You're probably involved in the class WhatsApp as well, and the million different notifications that go on from that 100 times a day. And even if you've got it on mute, you still sneak a little look and feel compelled to get involved. You're probably dodging some pressure to get involved with the PTA as well. And on the home side, you've probably got some help at home by now. I've got a cleaner by now. You've maybe got some help with the ironing. You do online shopping and have meal boxes and all that kind of thing. However, when it comes down to it, you're still doing more than your fair share there. Finding things with your magical mum eyes that nobody else can find. My daughter lost her school tie last week, had a massive panic that she couldn't find it anywhere. I walked into a bedroom, picked up her coat and it was there on the floor. Obviously, only I could see it with my eyes. You're organising stuff. You are thinking ahead. Have we got enough pet food? Can my son walk to school on his own at this age? Is my daughter allowed an iPhone at this age? And you've probably got a partner at home that pulls their weight as well. So they're a feminist. You've had the conversations about equality. And yet you're still taking the mental load on the life admin. It's still up to you to remember stuff, to preempt stuff, to make sure you're not dropping any balls. Put it this way, you've probably got a color-coded schedule to make sure that you are not dropping any balls. And on the subject of your partner, you're probably a team. But probably most of the time you're like a tag team rather than life partners. You're vaguely aware that you should be having date nights, but that is so far down the list of your priorities, way below getting some sleep. Let's just say that the massive knickers are here to stay. They are not going anywhere anytime soon. And while we're on the topic of priorities, what about you? What about you? You're a high achiever. So you're probably in the middle of training for some massive challenge. Maybe you're doing a marathon, maybe you're doing a massive hike, maybe you're cycling to Paris. And if you're really honest, you're probably a bit further behind on your training schedule than you would ideally like. So you've got all that pressure to do that as well as going to the gym, doing yoga, all that kind of thing. But what about the stuff that makes you feel great as well and able to show up as your best self at work? Making sure your nails look decent, basic grooming stuff, roots, making sure your hair looks as you would like it to. Chin hair. What's with the chin hair over 40? Those little devils appear overnight. Massages, smear tests. Are you up to date on that? And as well as all that, you are envious of Jen down the road because she's just started with wild swimming and you would love to have something like that for yourself. But fitting anything else in your schedule and your list of obligations and responsibilities, it actually gives you palpitations, the thought of doing anything else. And yet you keep all this stuff going. You are Superwoman. You make it look easy most of the time. So why can't you feel relaxed and at peace and enjoy it? My name is Claire Ackers. I'm an authenticity coach. What that means is I help female founders and female entrepreneurs work out who they are, what they stand for, and then have the courage to live that every day so that they can grow aligned and impactful companies that deliver them the life and the business that they want. And also, let's just say it also allows them to help change the world. And how do I identify so well with this Superwoman stuff? Well, it was absolutely me. I am a recovering Superwoman. Every single thing and more I've just talked about was absolutely me. And I used to wear being called Superwoman like a badge of pride, honestly. I loved it when people were like, wow, how do you do all that? You must be Superwoman. Until I realized that was the pressure. And they said it with love. You know, I fully respect people that said that to me. They said it with love. But I realized the pressure I was putting on myself unconsciously to live up to that expectation. And I've been working with women on this stuff for over 15 years now, since 2007. And I've come to believe that there is a particular set of challenges that only female entrepreneurs and female founders face. This Superwoman stuff. So many women come to me feeling this pressure to be Superwoman, to be all things to all people. And we need to talk about it. We absolutely need to talk about it because it doesn't need to be this way. I want to introduce you to a couple of archetypes. Now, archetype is a concept that I do a lot of work around. If you're interested in this and you'd like to go deeper, there's a lady called Caroline Mitz who is the the authority on this topic, so go check her stuff out. But an archetype, very, very simply, is a universal set of traits that we have. That if I said, "Oh, that plumber was a cowboy," you would instantly recognise what I meant by that. Or if I said, "Oh my gosh, she was acting like a total princess today," again, you probably have some idea what I was talking about, because there are universal traits and characteristics that fit into that topic. I hope that makes sense. So there's a couple of archetypes that I want to talk about as relates to the Superwoman myth or the Superwoman archetype. And the first one is the good girl. Um, it, the good girl archetype, and the universal traits that apply to this are being brought up with the idea that you need to be a good girl, you need to be quiet, you need to sit in the corner and get on with what you're told, not cause any trouble, and essentially do what's expected of you. Um, and good girls, they have been brought up to behave in this way. Um, but problems with this arise when your entrepreneurial spirit kicks in and fights against these lessons that we've been taught how to be a good girl. Um, as an entrepreneur, we need to break the rules. We can't be quiet, and it is so, so important that we learn to use our voice. And we can't sit there and be quiet in the corner and do what we're told, because we're the boss and people are looking at us to make the rules up. We're trying to break new ground and disrupt things and do things a little bit differently. We've got to take risks and not do what's expected of us. And so what happens is we try to do everything. We try to hold everything. We try to be a good entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, be a mum, a wife, a friend, a responsible human citizen. Um, and what happens is we end up not doing any of it very well, and trying to control the the outcomes of all those different hats that we're wearing and not doing any of it very well and just feeling rubbish. And then you get imposter syndrome kicking in, and we end up uh, making what we're trying to do a bit beige because we're not doing any of it very well, and we ignore our own instincts and we end up following somebody else's rules about how we should grow a business, and not following our own heart and gut about what's right for us. I would love to know if this resonates for you. Let me know either in a private message or an email or in the chat. And the second archetype I want to talk to you about is the high achiever. And both of these, the good girl and the high achiever, were totally me. The universal traits of the high achiever are getting good grades at school. You know, you get good marks, you're a bit of a swot, you've always got your hand up in class, you love getting that recognition and that pat on the head. So you get good grades, you followed the right path at university, you did well at university, you did all the societies, you did all the things, and then you went into a good, respected career, and you followed the career trajectory that was expected of you. You did well, you did all the associated exams, you joined all the societies, you volunteered for extra projects. You are smashing it. You've got so many pieces of paper and letters after your name. You get shit done, essentially. And outside of work, if there's like a tick box of what a good life looks like, you're ticking all those boxes. You've got the relationship, you've got the kids, you've got the house, you've got the car, you've got the gym membership, you're doing all the things. You are a high achiever. You're respected, you're recognized, and it feels awesome. As an entrepreneur, that then translates into a huge pressure to get it right, to be perfect, to get it right, to take risks and for them to pay off, to grow and build a stellar, linear company. You've got to be credible. And the big one for the high achiever is that you try to control everything. You are a self confessed control freak. You want something to happen, you do the thing, you get it done. You try and control your results. You try to set targets, massive, big, ambitious, audacious targets. You try to control the growth of your company, the clients that you work with, who you hire, who you fire, your financial targets. And then you grit your teeth and you push and you make it happen at all costs. And you try so hard to control the outcomes of all this. But then, of course, something goes wrong, because it always does. And then you feel rubbish and lost and small and a bit stupid and foolish for putting yourself out there. And of course, being unable to control everything, because you realize you're not invincible. You are not actually Superwoman. I'd love to know if you identify with the high achiever archetype. Um, and I could go on about these archetypes for ages, because I find it absolutely fascinating. And these aren't finite, by the way. These different archetypes can pop up in a small way, in a big way, in a million different ways at different times. But hopefully, if you've made it this far, you can recognize yourself in at least one. So what to do about it? What are you going to do about it now you've had this awareness of what's going on for you about this Superwoman archetype? Well, everything changed for me when I understood this universal fact. I'm going to say this a couple of times because it's really important. Let go of the how and focus on the now. Let me repeat that. Let go of the how, focus on the now. Let me unpack this, because I am a recovering good girl. I am a recovering high achiever, and I am a recovering Superwoman. And this idea has been a huge lesson for me to get my head around and learn. And I'm working on this every day. I'm learning and going deeper on this idea every day. So number one is stop trying to control your results. My first career was in recruitment, and I achieved high in recruitment. I set all the records. I did all the things that I was supposed to, and I burnt out, and it felt awful. But I was so used to working in KPIs and tangible results and in monthly increments. In April, I need to hit this target or I'm rubbish. In May, I need to hit this target and I'm rubbish. Who says? Who says it needs to be that boxed off in terms of your results? And my boss, a fearsome character, he used to stand over me and go, "Right, Claire, where's it coming from this month?" And sometimes I didn't have an answer, and that scared the pants off me. And it's turning this whole idea on its head. Um, Letting go of I've got to know all my numbers, how everything's going to happen right down to the last detail. And I've just got to trust. I've got to do the work and I've got to trust. Which brings me on to point two. You know all the strategies. You don't need another strategy. It's not about how intelligent you are. It's not about how many tactics and tricks that you know, or hard that you work. Inward, doing the inner work, your mindset, that's all that matters. That is all that matters. Getting your head in the right place and your heart in the right place so you can work from an aligned place. Which brings me on to point three, is that if you put something out there with the intention of getting a specific result, so if you've ever made this bargain with yourself that if I do X, I will expect and get Y result, you've got to quit that. Don't even bother doing it if you're putting something out there with that expectation. It's got to come from a place of alignment and joy. Don't even bother if you're expecting to get certain results. It's got to come from a different place. And then number four is your only job ever is to feel good. That's it. It's just to feel good. And when you've done the work to feel good, and there's so many different ways, which I don't have time to go into today, about how to get to that place of feeling good, all you have to do is act from that inspired place. Acting from that inspired place Because when you feel good and you clear away the thoughts of the pressure and I've got to act and I've got to make this happen, that then creates space for the inspired ideas to come in. I realized this morning, that the reason that I love cold plunging so much, as I was sitting in my ice bath in my back garden at 6:30, was the reason that I love it so much is that it forces me to be present. I'm terrible at being present. I'm always worrying about the past, or I'm always planning the future, but I'm terrible at being present. But being in the ice water, all I can think about is, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Why do I do this? But it forces me to be present. And I was so deep into being present this morning that a huge, massive, hairy spider landed on my hand and I didn't even notice. I opened my eyes and there it was. And oh my gosh, I got out that water quickly. But that's a new thing for me, is being able to be that present. And it just feels wonderful. It feels absolutely amazing. So, if you've enjoyed this conversation this morning, you've got to come along to my upcoming 5-day challenge. Let me tell you about it. It's called Power Up, Unlock Your Next Level, and it's a free 5-day challenge for female entrepreneurs and female founders who are up for authentic self-mastery and accessing a whole new level of performance that they didn't know that they had. Um, and it's totally free, and you are going to learn the mistakes that you've been making in your business, ones that you didn't even know you were making, and of course, what to do about them. You are going to learn all about mindset mastery, how to master your mind and stand in your power and authority. You're going to understand why you've been playing small, and how and why you can rip up the rule book with your vision for your business. And you're going to understand what your values are and why this is your secret weapon. And you're going to understand the ingredients that you need to make your success inevitable. And then we're going to put it all together and create an impact plan for you. So I'm going to be teaching live for 30 minutes a day. And yes, there will be a recording if you can't make it live. But we've got a cohort of incredible, supportive, like-minded female entrepreneurs. And if you've listened to this conversation today about being Superwoman and it's resonated with you, what are you waiting for? You've got to come along. So there is some, I'll put a link in the notes to this. There's links all over my profile, but if you've listened to this and it's resonated, please, please, please grab this chance with both hands. Come along, join us. It is going to be incredible. And I would love to help you power up and unlock your next level. All right. Thanks for being here. I'll see you very soon.